There was some controversy and consternation amongst Minnesota Vikings fans when the Vikes traded down in the third round, final pick of the third round, 102, and took USC cornerback Mekhi Blackmon. And yeah, there was a lot of talks like, well, there was other higher rated corners on the board. Blackmon was by some of the draft experts seen as a 5th or 6th rounder, yada 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 yada. But bottom line, Brian Flores, adofo-mensah, Kevin O'Connell believed in Mekhi Blackmon. They made him the third round pick, and it is what it is. And I believe in Blackmon. Plus, also, he's picking number 11. Whoo, looks pretty damn good. Looks pretty damn good, man. Although I don't think that he'll have that full card, that full play card in the NFL. I don't know, man. But either way, that looks pretty damn icy. And Blackmon, I mean, yeah, people were down on him because of his RAS scores. They were down on him because of his size as well as his frame. But like I said, it is what it is. I love the one you're with. The Vikings are with Mekhi Blackmon, and I don't really know why people are so down on him. Right, and we're starting to see some pushback in the positive direction. Brett Coleman, who is the film guru, obviously watches and dissects more film than you and I and probably 10 million people on this planet put together. But why did I pick 10 million? It's a random number. Anyways, but Coleman tweeted this out. Forgot to say this at the time, but Mekhi Blackmon was the Vikings' best pick, IMO. That includes Jordan Addison. Probably will start week 1. Woo! Hell, depending on Booth's health, he might even be cornerback 1 by Halloween. I wonder if Coleman remembers that the Vikings have Byron Murphy, but he forced like 20. He had like 24% completions last year and is about as battle tested as they come. Love that kid. And Coleman's also based on the West Coast, so I'm sure he took in a lot of USC games. And Blackmon, I mean, I don't know why people are so down on Blackmon. Maybe it's just because there are other, more well-known corners still on the board when the Vikings took him at the end of the third round, but I don't know. But last year, he was second in PFF grade, 90.6, behind only Devin Witherspoon. Perhaps you heard of him. Number 5 overall pick to the Seahawks. He was third in the nation, third in FBS in PFF coverage grade. He was 5th in man coverage grade. He was 7th in zone. He was tied for 4th in tackles amongst cornerbacks, so he likes to get after it. Quarterback rating when thrown at 46.1, which is 13th in the country. And then PBU's 8, 3 interceptions as well in his lone season for the men of Troy, and he did well. So despite all this and high grades in PFF metrics, he was ranked as PFF's number 11 corner in this class under the category of flawed talents. So maybe this is where the bias comes in, because it is so weird. So he's listed as a flawed talent and number 11 in the cornerback rankings, even though he was studly in Pro Football Focus's own metrics. So I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is that Mekhi Blackmon, he's got the alpha feisty attitude on the outside. No, he isn't long. No, he isn't necessarily lengthy, although he is pretty lengthy for a 5'11 corner. But you would think of like the prototypical guy that Brian Flores wants, 6'2", long arms, Xavier Rhodes type cornerback. But no, Mekhi Blackmon, he absolutely gets after it. He does have that alpha attitude. He's aggressive. He is adept in press man, tested often at USC, and 5 full seasons in college football. He had 4 seasons at Colorado. And yeah, teams threw a lot on Colorado. But of course, then last year at USC. And he wants to challenge the best. An anecdote came out after Addison was taken in the first round, Mekhi Blackmon in the third. Both of them obviously teammates last year for USC. But Blackmon would always ask to cover Addison during practice because Addison was the leading receiver for the Trojans and Caleb Williams, future Viking, last season. So I just love that, where he wants to go best versus best and get after it in that regard. It can be a little bit grabby. That's a major downside against him. 7 penalties in 2022. But like I said before, I would rather have a cornerback who's too aggressive and have to dial that back versus a cornerback who is too passive coming in. Have to be like, come on, just grab a little bit of cloth, right? And also, in the NFL, getting NFL caliber coaching and learning all the tricks of the trade of what he can do to manipulate the receiver at the top of the stem. I think that he's going to absorb all that knowledge and really take it to heart and then just get after it in that regard. He does have slot experience in Colorado from 2021, was primarily on the outside of USC in 2022. I think he does have some slot ability, but he's sort of like Duke Shelley. Don't just jam him into the slot because he's a short cornerback. Also, you got Byron Murphy, who's phenomenal in the slot. Jay Ward can play the slot, as well as Cam Beasley. maybe he should just be playing the slot. Also, he brings the lumber in run defense as well. And also, just small things like that add up. So Blackmon was a top 30 pick, and he said this about the quote, I was waiting all night. I thought it was going to come earlier, but you guys traded back. I kind of anticipated it was probably going to come to you guys, the Vikings, just praying and wishing I would. I took my visit out there, and I fell in love with the facilities, TCO Performance Center Bar and Grill, and the coaching staff, so I was hoping I would land in Minnesota. And Kwesi had said that if the Vikings had sticked and picked at 87, they still would have taken Mekhi Blackmon at that selection. And if you look at the Vikings cornerback room, so, I mean, the only guy written in pen is Byron Murphy. The free agent coming in from Arizona, probably going to start on the outside and base, kick inside in nickel, but everything else is wide open. Where Evans and Booth, I mean, they obviously have potential, but both of them are coming back from injuries. Evans from multiple concussions, Booth from that meniscus surgery, and Booth's had health issues for years at this point. But, I mean, Blackmon could come in and could easily impress, and I could honestly see him working his way into the starting lineup because, I mean, Evans and Booth, yes, they have a ton of potential. They both are lengthy. They both have press man capabilities, especially Booth. And, yeah, I mean, they will have an opportunity. But Blackmon could come in and destroy them. Blackmon could come in and walk in and be the best cornerback on this team, not named Byron Murphy. So it is completely wide open, pun intended, in coverage. But I think Blackmon does have a legit shot to be that guy very early on in his tenure with the Vikings. I love his attitude. I love his run defense. I love that he wants to be and compete against the best. So don't sleep on him. Absolutely do not sleep on Mekhi Blackmon, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on Mekhi Blackmon in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.